Oh yeah, he's back. The crack of the bat, the ping of the crossbar, and the roar of the crowd. We cover everything you want to talk about. It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Canada. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show. And to Canadian sports fans around the world, it is Tuesday, January 28th. And we're lifting the lid on episode 165 of Canada's only live morning sports talk show. I am the host, Rod Pedersen. He's the co-host, Darren DuPont, as the camera zooms in on me. There's Dupes.
Hey, good morning.
And we have in the bunker special guest, the chairman of the Young Man's Committee, Kelly Rempel.
It's, if you're going to be a president of a club, that's the one to be.
The All Young Club. Well, this is a portion.
He's the treasurer.
Portion of the program that we affectionately call the Rollout. It's brought to you by Flooring Superstores and our good friends over there, the Dickin family, which run it. A good Saskatchewan family-owned business where we talk about a variety of things before we get into the real meat and potatoes of the program today. And I always line up who the show guests will be today, and I got to say I'm quite excited. New York Islanders royalty, Regina Pats royalty, Clark Gillies will be joining us from Long Island today. Hockey Hall of Famer, the great Clark Gillies will be with us later on. Joaquin Gage, former Edmonton Oilers goalie. Rems, you'll remember him from the Dub days too. Prince Albert Raiders.
Yeah, years ago. Boy,
Swift Current Broncos. Joaquin Gage will be with us. Gager from Edmonton. TSN Calgary's Jermaine Franklin. We'll be talking Flames and Stamps with him. And Robert Vanstone Esquire from the Regina Leader Post, the esteemed Hall of Fame writer and author there. Rob Vanstone will be with us. Interesting. We're getting testimonials, and we haven't even asked for them. Randy Nickel is watching from Mazatlan this morning. Can you put that up on the screen, the full message from Randy, if you don't mind? Just to get us in the right frame of mind here. Randy Nickel from Mazatlan, Mexico this morning says, the one thing I love about the RP show is you guys take a faceless athlete and introduce them to us on a personal level. We get to know the person and not just a name. Frankly, that's what I enjoy about the program, too. Had a great day yesterday with... who did we have?
Calvin McCarty.
Yeah, Calvin McCarty.
He was really great.
Kenny Stafford. The reason I say that is last week when we had Enoch Mwamba on and another former rider, Taylor Shire from Global, was sitting there. He goes, I just learned more in 10 minutes with those two guys than interviewing them dozens of times down at Mosaic Stadium because they're out of their element here or in their element, depending on how you look at it. And that's kind of what we're going to do with these guys today. Clark Gillies, Joaquin Gage, Frankie, and the rest.
I would say one of the most impressive examples of that was John Paddock. Do you remember when John sat in that chair? I wasn't here that day. I was here that day, but I was here late that day, so I was on the second half. Sadly, wasn't able to get in on that interview. I watched it, the second half, from that couch over there. That guy was more relaxed and more interested in telling a story and then you would learn more in that half an hour than I guarantee talking to him 50 times at the Brandt Center, where it would be like a coach interviewer. I'm the coach, you're the interviewer. You ask me the questions, I'll give you my...
Because their guard's up.
4-second
For
answer.
whatever reason.
Well, but yeah. I mean, but I talked to John about that afterwards, and he said, I would do that again in a heartbeat. I really enjoyed it. He said, I was getting questions about my days in Philly and my hometown. And he goes, that's the stuff that he wants to talk about. He probably gets tired of talking about the power play. Who cares? Yeah. Really? Do you?
Well, no, and not at all. I'm glad you actually brought that up. But Kevin Killer Kaminsky said the same thing last week. Told the guys after he left he could have sat here all day drinking coffee here in the locker room.
That was fun.
But the thing with Paddock was... the life lesson that they're trying to drill into these young hockey players is that, guys, you can't just show up a minute before practice. The pilot that's flying your parents out here this weekend didn't just show up a minute before the flight. Like, show up, get ready, get into it. Life stuff.
Be prepared.
Be prepared. So anyways, kind of what we do around here. Captain Harvey Ryder watching, writes in on Facebook, ahoy, matey! From the port of North Battleford. Awesome show. Rarely miss one. We do have breaking news from Canada's team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They are going to be holding training camp in Regina this year in advance of the 2020 Grey Cup. So no Saskatoon. That Caught me a little off guard, Darren. Mm-hmm. But you know why they're doing it.
No, for sure. And it's going to be great for Saskatoon to get some, renos to Griffith Stadium and to get that all ready to go. That's exciting because I've seen kind of and heard what a few of the plans are over there, and it's going to be much needed, and it's going to make for a really cool enhancement to their football experience, which is already a great game day experience in Saskatoon, but it's not going to be the same not having training camp in Saskatoon, I'll tell you.
Not at all.
That's fun being out there in the sun.
To the Magnificent Seven Magnificent Seven show topics. We may have a few bonus ones in here, but this is what we'll be covering today on what will otherwise be a big hockey show. Number one, Zach Collaros has re-signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We got to talk about that. Point two, I've been getting teased by Bomber fans, not trolled, teased by Bomber fans for saying a month ago that it was a done deal. He's going to the Argos. They were teasing me. We were going back and forth on it yesterday. And then the Bomber fans said, look, Rod, we love the back and forth. We love what you do for the CFL. Because I said, nobody bats 1,000, Kelly. So I had one wrong. And the Bomber fans are reminding me of it. That's fine. We're over the fight. And I love the fact that we are. Hamilton, we're not over it. Which I keep hearing from people in Hamilton. There's people in Hamilton that are refusing to come on this show now because of the Brandon Banks thing and the Simone Lawrence thing. Listen, don't be mad at me that you turtled in the Grey Cup. It's misplaced anger. Don't be mad at me. You're mad, and you're mad at me in Hamilton. I'm not the cause of your problems, okay? Nobody wants to look in the mirror in sports. Come out and do better. 15-3, best Ticats team ever. Then you don't show up in a championship game. Don't get mad at me. That's for all of that region. Point three, Vernon Adams Jr. signs an extension with the Montreal Alouettes. And that's breaking news. That was just announced this morning. And it must be for Big Hiroshi because VA had a big party with his family last night, if you follow him on Instagram. And I was so happy for him because he's a good dude. He had like 20 little nieces and nephews, his parents, all in Alouettes jerseys. Way to go, VA. Point four, CFL holding combines in Japan, but there is no CFL week. Yesterday, the CFL sent out a list of important dates, of which they are important, but there are 2 combines in Japan. I'm looking at the global draft, the Canadian draft. There's no CFL week. Is that a problem? I think it is. I want you guys' opinion. Tomorrow, as we look at point 5 here, Battle of Alberta, Flames Oilers. Rams, got to get your thoughts on that. Yeah. We'll get Jermaine Franklin's thoughts on that. Point 6, Super Bowl, just in general. Chiefs, 49ers. We're going to be giving away another table for 4. You and 3 buddies will be going to our Super Bowl party at Ballers Rec Room this Sunday. So we have a trivia question coming up, so get ready because I don't think you're going to know it off the top of your head. So get near Google. And point 7, as I told you in the meeting, Kelly doesn't know this. I'm very excited going to Vegas. Gary, I know that doesn't sound that important. This is different.
Who's going to Vegas?
Me.
When?
Well, listen up. Yesterday, Gary Lawless and I were texting back and forth, and I got a nice text message from the great Kelly McCrimmon, too, by the way, who's the Knights general manager. And Gary says, if you don't start accepting my invitation to come to Vegas, I'm going to stop inviting you. And I said, okay, Gary, I'll look at the schedule, and I'm going to come down to Vegas for a couple Golden Knights games. So in the middle of the afternoon, my oldest brother calls, the Cowboy. I'm telling him this. I said, you're not going to believe this, but the Golden Knights said, why don't you come down to Vegas and hang out with us, bring you to the games, it'll be a big old time. My brother, this is the Cowboy, says, well, I'll come with you. I said, well, you weren't invited, but I haven't had a road trip since my brother, since about 1986 would be the last one with Lee. So, you said when? It's February 13th, 14th, 15th.
Oh, so I'm just going to miss you.
When are you there?
I'm there, well, not just miss me. I'm going on Sunday.
This Sunday?
This Sunday.
Are you going to a hockey game?
No, there's a buying show for
You're
our
going
store.
for work. Right.
Well, but we're going to, have a lot of fun while we're there, too. I plan on seeing Aerosmith. They're playing that residency tour at the MGM
that's exciting.
Park.
Yeah.
And just to have lots of fun. We're staying at the Mandalay Bay. We never stayed there before. That'll be fun. So we're there for 5 days.
See, this is the thing that, Darren, you can look forward to when you get to be our age. So here's the problem. Not only is this over Valentine's Day, no, you're not at this point in life yet.
Right.
Our anniversary is Valentine's Day. So the missus came home after work yesterday, and I said, you should know that I'm going to Vegas. Probably taking my brother. And it's over our anniversary.
And Valentine's.
You should get Kelly's look on his face. It actually wasn't as bad as you'd think, because what she said, and you know her well.
Yes.
She goes, if you're just going to be going down there to hang out at the rink the whole time, i.e. not doing the things that you would do in Vegas with your wife, going to shows, going shopping, going out for dinner, it's all hockey. She's like, then just go with your brother, and we'll go for a longer trip another day. How's that for a wife?
Oh, that's a
very
fantastic,
big of her.
Caring
Wow.
human being right there.
That's why I married her.
Unbelievable.
But so anyways, I'm so happy because 5 years yesterday marked 5 years sober for me. And I said to Darren here earlier, there was a time 5 years ago, people weren't inviting me to go anywhere. So 5 years later, to have an NHL team say, come on down and hang out, is a real nice feeling. So I'm feeling very grateful to them and just happy today. So you'll
Good
be
for
hosting.
you, Rod.
So it's like a dad thing to do. I got the time. I can go. See what you have to look forward to,
Yeah,
Darren? Once you've had your family and the kids are grown and, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could go to Vegas now.
Sure, but it wouldn't be the same. I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
From Joe Lazito on Long Island, he says, she's a keeper, Rod. Yeah, I think I'll keep her. Paul in Red Deer says, high five to Rod's wife. I agree. Yeah. So anyways, and we need a poll question. Clark and I, just before the show, like 30 seconds before we went to air, said, what are we going to talk about on a poll? Anything come to mind for you guys?
Ooh.
Viewers, do you have a poll question? We could talk about, is the Brandon Wheat Kings Hockey Night in Canada jersey ugly or hot? It's on our Instagram story. Imagine Wheat Kings colors. I guess I just talked about Crim. I shouldn't trash the Wheat Kings jerseys too much, but they got the Hockey Night in Canada blue logo with black and yellow. Doesn't really go.
Which, since we got Clark on, Clark Gillies, which 80s dynasty was better, the Oilers or the Islanders?
Ooh.
Who had the better dynasty?
It's not bad. I'm not saying we're going with that, but it's a start.
I wonder how many of our viewers would be familiar enough with it to weigh in. I know I certainly would. That was right at the beginning of I'm 47, and I don't really remember the Islanders. I kind of remember it.
I sure do.
I kind of got in on the tail end of the Islanders run.
Yeah.
I think you were watching football more then, were you not?
Probably.
I was kind of the other way.
But how old were we, Rod? I mean, what the Oilers?
10.
No.
8. When the Islanders run?
What was their last win? 79?
83.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the Habs for 4 years before that. Oh, what a shock. Joe Lazito says the Islanders dynasty was better. The guy that's watching from Long Island.
Kind of an impartial witness.
I like the question. I'm telling you, see, I know what people are into. Conan Daly in Calgary's watching, and he says, Paul, will Kachuk get punched in the face tomorrow? They're getting excited, man.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a slam dunk for tomorrow's poll question.
Tomorrow's poll.
Right?
Now, the Facebook feed's going off. Ding, 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 ding. I liked Nelson's comment. Where will Matt Nichols land? That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Maybe that'll be. You don't think so, Kel? That's a pretty good question. Argos, Red Blacks.
That was my thought when you brought up Zach Collaros signing with Winnipeg yesterday. What does that do for Chris Drevler and for Matt Nichols and for the other free agent quarterbacks? Someone that Winnipeg needs a number 2. They're not going to just go in with Collaros and a young guy who's not ready to play. But does Matt Nichols want to be a backup? Does he want to go to Toronto? Does he want to go somewhere else? That's a good poll question.
If he's making close to $500,000,
Zach,
and most of that is guaranteed money, no matter what happens to him, can you afford to pay $3 or $350 to one of those other good quarterbacks and have almost $1 million tied up in quarterbacks?
That's a good point.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? $1 million. Well, wouldn't be quite $1 million, but you'd probably have 800,000 tied up in one position on one team.
Well, it's better than one guy like BC. At least you'd have two guys making that kind of dough.
True.
But I think it's a good question, Nelson. We'll take it under advisement. We'll have a committee meeting in the break in the bathroom. Can you put the comment on from the guy in England that's watching in England? I understand this is a Norwegian flag,
but it counts.
I don't have a Union Jack. Pete Joe Baruch. I'm thinking Pete is related to Davy Baruch, Cal.
Could be.
Says, hello from Manchester, England. Nice to see Mr. Warrior on the show. Enjoy listening to him. Not that I don't like listening to you and DuPont, Roddy. How do you feel about being called Mr. Warrior? I would take that as a compliment.
I'm totally fine with it. That's my team. What can I say? We're struggling, but we'll come out of it.
We had an invitation, I should mention this, from the Mad Greek, Johnny Atreides. He said, when are you coming over to Moose Jaw for a game? Come on over to the Mad Greek. Bring your gang, feed you, we'll have a visit, and then we'll go to the Warrior game. I said, I can't think of much better.
Best boneless ribs and lemon rice soup that you'll ever find on the planet is there at the Mad Greek in Moose Jaw.
I'm not allowed in the arena, but I'll come for dinner.
Apparently the Warriors are over that.
Yeah, well, Miller is. I don't know.
Things are thawing. It's good.
Speaking of Miller, did you guys talk about this?
No,
yesterday?
You go ahead.
Well, what a huge opportunity for him to be involved right at the top of the food chain for Canada's World Junior team next year. Mm-hmm. Isn't it Red Deer at Edmonton, isn't it? Al Miller, I don't know if they call it the general manager, but the director of the hockey operations
he's
program.
Part of the management team.
That's just absolutely huge. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of that franchise where they've had coaches that have been there, but I don't think they've ever had anybody in management that have had their fingerprints all over that.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Good for Al. What a good guy.
Another one, I mean, God bless Twitter, but our friend Devin Aru from CBC puts on Twitter this morning that the women's provincial curling semifinal is on right now in Melville. Ashley Howard versus Sherry Anderson. Sorry to be so out of it that I didn't know that they're already into the semifinals. And at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning?
Yeah. And then
that doesn't seem real.
And then the final's going to go at 2 o'clock. Today.
For Saskatchewan's rep for the Scotties.
Yeah. And so Robin Silvernagel's waiting to play in the final.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an exciting Tuesday.
And the Scotties are in Moose Jaw.
So that's going to be fun. I like that. Although I don't know how much... I always struggle between wanting to go watch it live and then watching it on TV. Because it's just, you can watch the game so much better on television.
Oh, 100%.
But yet the atmosphere is pretty cool.
Yeah, the vibe, especially there, because I don't know how to say this without being insulting, but let's be honest. I mean, you watch some of the Scotties on TV from some of these different cities, and there's nobody there for the morning draw. The afternoon draw, there might be 1,000 people, and then it might be 3/4 full in the evening. I'm telling you, in Moose Jaw, the morning draw will be half full.
Oh, yeah. They know what they're doing by going to Moose Jaw. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when they had it there the last time, you and I on your previous employer, we did a show from there. The vibe in there was just awesome. Mm-hmm. Like all day, not just the evening draw, all day. It was phenomenal.
Very underrated restaurants in Moose Jaw. Scotty Clark writing from Grand Prairie, Alberta this morning. He's watching in Grand Prairie. Scotty says, the Mad Greek, Moose Jaw, incredible lasagna. The best. So, Rems, let's look up a date in Moose Jaw to go, and we'll go to Mr. Greek. He's good. He's good.
He's the best.
He's the best. Come on. Come on.
He's number one, my friend.
He's number one, my friend. Don't worry about it. He's good. On the way, Clark Gillies, Joaquin Gage, Jermaine Franklin, and Robert Vanstone. This is the rollout. We're just getting rolling for Flooring Superstores and the Dickin family over there. Love them like the Dickens. We'll be right back. You're watching Canada's only live morning sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook Live, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.